Lesson 2 of Chapter 4. We're now getting into solving inequalities, and we'll start with the basics of adding or subtracting. We're going to take it step by step like we did with equations. Now, instead of there being an equal sign like an equation has, we have an inequality sign because we're dealing with inequalities. We also are going to continue with when you find the solution set of an inequality, you're then also going to graph that. So this is good practice with continuing to graph inequalities. So here's our little study tip to the left. Let's read that. You can solve inequalities in the same way you solve equations. We're going to use inverse operations to get the variable by itself. Remember the word inverse. What does that mean? Hopefully you're thinking opposite. Inverse operations are if there's addition, you're going to do subtraction. If there's subtraction, you're going to do addition. So real quick, the addition and subtraction properties of equality or of inequalities, very similar to our addition and subtraction properties of equations. Whatever you do to one side of an inequality, you have to do to the other side. So with the addition property of an inequality, adding the same number to each side of an inequality keeps the inequality true. Same goes for subtracting. So subtracting the same number of each side of an inequality keeps the inequality true. So same as an equation, in order to keep it true, so for an equation, in order to keep it equal, we had to do it to the same sides. But for an inequality, in order for it to remain true, to remain maybe less than or greater than, you have to do it to both sides, right? We can't do one thing to one. It's going to stay unbalanced. It's not going to work out. So you have to do it to both sides. So let's take a look at our first example. Solving an inequality using addition. So we have this inequality, x minus 5 is less than negative 3. First, I would find or locate your variable. I see x. Look at what's happening to x. It's being subtracted by 5. So in order to get rid of that, or to get our variable alone, we're going to do the opposite. So we're going to add 5 to both sides. So I added 5 to the left. I'm now going to jump over, and you can still maybe do that upside down T if you like it, but you just have to remember you're bringing down an inequality sign. So then we're going to add 5 to the right. Negative 3 and a positive 5 gives you a positive 2. On the left, all we're left with is x. Look, I got my variable by itself. So the solution here is x is less than 2. You need that entire solution set. Because what it's saying is x can be any number less than 2. Remember, an inequality doesn't just have one answer. It's not just 2. So don't just say, oh, 2, I'm done. Because you're not. This is not an equation. You need the entire thing. Because there's infinite answers. Any number less than 2 is a solution here. So now let's graph it. I have a number line set there for you. Let's label it. I'm going to put 2 in the middle somewhere or around the middle. And then maybe you want to just do everyone, just count by ones. You can count by really whatever you want, as long as you're increasing as you go to the right and decreasing as we go to the left. Remember, after 0 comes our negatives. So now where 2 was is where your circle is going to go. Now decide, should it be opened or closed? Hopefully you're thinking open because it has to be less than. It can't be equal to 2. Now since x is less than 2, where are numbers less than 2? To the left. So that should be your graph. Let's try another one, solving an inequality using subtraction. So identify or find where your variable is. This time it's on the right, which is okay. Right now, x is being added by 14, so I'm going to subtract 14 on both sides. So I'm going to bring it over to the other side. 13 minus 14, or a positive 13 and negative 14, different signs subtract. Take the sign of the larger. Bring down your inequality. Now, remember, in order to graph, you want to have it, or maybe you want to rewrite this, your variable should always be on the left side. So if I flip where my x and negative 1 are, I also have to flip the way my inequality sign is. Notice that. Because what this reads here is negative 1 is less than or equal to x, which means that x is really greater than or equal to negative 1. Now we can graph it, now that the variable's on the left side. It's always easiest when you move it around that way. So I'm going to put negative 1 somewhere towards the middle. So go ahead and label your graph. If you want to kind of jump ahead of me, graph it, or maybe pause and then replay so you can check yourself. Go for it. I'm going to go to negative 1. Now I'm going to decide, since x is greater than or equal to it, it's allowed to equal it, so I'm going to fill that in. You should have a filled in circle at negative 1. Since x is greater than or equal to that, we're looking for numbers greater than negative 1, so my arrow should be going to the right. All right, this last one down here on this page, yeah, this will be our last one. It's your turn. Pause the video, try it, graph it, press play when you're ready, and we'll go over it. So you should have tried this on your own. I'm going to go through it. You can check yourself and check your graph. So first, what you should have done is you should be adding 7 to both sides. So I'm going to come over to negative 10 and add a positive 7 to that. Make sure you brought down your inequality sign, not an equal sign. Negative 10 and a positive 7 gives you a negative 3. They're different signs. Subtract. Take the sign of the larger. That should be your solution. My variable is on the left, so I know I'm ready to go. I can just go ahead and graph this. So you should have negative 3 somewhere in the middle. Hopefully, maybe you labeled this. I might jump a few and just label a few here. Maybe 0 will be all the way over there. You could have labeled every one. You could have kind of jumped around a little. But negative 3 should be somewhere in the middle. You should have an open circle at negative 3 with your arrow to the right, because this reads W is greater than negative 3. So numbers greater than negative 3 are to the right. All right, we are going to stop there. That real life application word problem is a great example. If you want to just challenge yourself and try that on your own, go for it. Let us know if you have questions. But for now, we are going to be done with this set of notes and this lesson. We're off to practice.